This is Catholicism in Focus, and in this first episode of our podcast, we are coming to have a discussion on the Holy Week. I am here with four esteemed panelists who will help us digest this topic. They are Catholic influencers, if I'll be allowed to call them as such. I would want to move to them to introduce themselves as we begin with the topic Holy Week. So, our brother at the edge, what's your name? Introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. I am Emmanuel Yabua from the Catholic Diocese of Yoso in Theology 1, St. Peter's Regional Seminary, Cape Coast.
I'm also Idujima Benedict from the Catholic Diocese of Techiman.
I'm also Edward Malcolm Obutu from the Accra Archdiocese.
I would like to use this opportunity to wish Edward a happy birthday. Today happens to be his birthday. I am your host, Reverend Elikem Kabla Akapu. Moving right to the topic, I would want to ask our esteemed panelists. So people refer to the Holy Week as the week that Catholics take as the World Cup. Yabua, what do you have to say about this?
Okay, so we say the Holy Week is a World Cup week for us in a colloquial manner because this is a very significant week in the life of the church. This is the week that actually changed the world. And in this week, we delve very deeply into the suffering, the passion, death, and then resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. And this changed the story of the world because mankind living in sin gained salvation from Christ's sacrifice on the cross. So this is why many people term this significant week as a World Cup because they see it very significant in their lives.
I think Benedict is also having something to say in regard to that.
Sure. So this is a playful but a very insightful comparison when we say Catholics take the Holy Week as World Cup. You know, just as the World Cup is the apex of the football competition where all players are called to give their best, Catholics in this period are also called to give their best spiritually, even as they celebrate the Holy Week, because it is the apex and the peak of our salvation where our Lord goes the way of the cross. He suffers, he dies, and then rise again on the third day for humanity's salvation and redemption. And so we are all called to give our all and best during this particular season. And that is why we are not afraid to say it is a World Cup for us spiritually.
Okay, so Edmond too, I think you also have something to say about that.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I think they've said it all, but I'll add a little. So the Holy Week is very significant and very important for we Catholics because we commemorate and celebrate our Lord's passion, his death, and resurrection. And it offers us the opportunity to go deep into ourselves since the events of Jesus Christ in his last week was to showcase to humanity the deep love he has for us. So it is also an opportunity for we to go deep into ourselves to see how best we could reciprocate that love back to our Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay, so in one of the books that I was reading, it mentioned that this Holy Week celebrates the core of our faith, that is the life, the death, and the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. And I want to ask, what exactly do we celebrate when we take the days of the Holy Week, the sacred days of the Holy Week?
Sure. So during the Holy Week, we celebrate what we call the Paschal Mystery, which already starts on the Palm Sunday. And throughout the week, we enter into the sacred Triduum, where we celebrate the Lord's suffering, his death, and resurrection. So the Holy Week marks the peak of our salvation, where our Lord goes to the cross and dies to save us.
Yeah. So adding something to what my brothers have already said, the Holy Week, we celebrate Christ who goes the way of the cross. And in the Italiano terms, they say Via Dolorosa, Christ on the way of the cross. And so this, as we have already established, is a very apex point of our lives where we sit in a silent moment, look deeply in ourselves, see where our life has fallen short, and try to correct things. So to